Welcome back to All About Winning Daily Fantasy Sports. My name is Ty Patton. The nightcap for Saturday's two-game wildcard playoff slate features the 9-7 Tennessee Titans visiting the AFC East champion New England Patriots, who come in with a 12-4 record. The Patriots opened as a 5.5-point favorite, and the line immediately moved to 4.5. And with a lot of movement through the week, the line is steady at 4.5 points now. The game total opened at 42.5 points and has moved to 44.5. Before we unpack this game, I want to share the numbers that are fantasy relevant to the Showdown contest itself. There were 121 Showdown contests throughout the 2019 NFL season, including last Sunday night's Seattle-San Francisco game. These Showdown contests have an average winning score of 132.10, with an average winning captain score of 42.67. Since the average captain score represents 32% of the average winning score, I focus a lot of attention to the captain's position itself. With that being said, the captain's position breaks down as follows through these 121 contests. The underdog running back has been the captain in the winning lineup more than any other position, 23 times for 19%. The favored quarterback has been the captain in the winning lineup 22 times for 18%. Favored wide receiver has been the captain in the winning lineup 21 times for 17%. The favored running back has been the captain in the winning lineup 16 times for 13%. The underdog wide receiver has been the captain in the winning lineup 15 times for 12%. The underdog quarterback 9 times for 7%. The favored defensive special teams has been the captain in the winning lineup 6 times for 5%. 3 of those were the New England Patriots, by the way. The underdog tight end has been the captain in the winning lineup 3 times for 2%. The underdog kicker has been the captain in the winning lineup 2 times for 2%. The favored tight end has been the captain in the winning lineup 2 times for 2%. The underdog defensive special teams 2 times for 2%. Now, I also combine this by position where they were the underdog and favorite, and it breaks down as follows. Running backs have been the captain in the winning lineup more than any other position, 39 times for 32%. Close behind, wide receivers, 36 times for 30%. Quarterbacks have been the captain in the winning lineup 31 times for 26%. All others represent 15 winning captains for 12%. Now, I also break this down by the overall straight-up one-loss record of the winning captains, meaning the captain for the winning lineups, whether their team won or lost the game. And the captains in the winning lineups, their teams have a record of 86 wins and 35 losses. This is a win percentage of 71%. That means the captain comes from the winning team 71% of the time. And I broke that down by position as well, and it breaks down as follows. Running backs, 30 wins and 9 losses for 77%. Wide receivers, 22 wins and 14 losses for a 61% win percentage. And quarterbacks, 23 wins and 8 losses for a 74% win percentage. Now, do these numbers unlock the mystery of tonight of the showdown between the Titans and the Patriots? Absolutely not. But what they do provide us are numbers that we can use to give us an edge in our overall process. And in the end, that's all we're looking for is an edge. Some of the main takeaways from those numbers, the underdog running back comes from appeared in the winning lineup as the captain's position more than any other position, 19% of the time. Running backs combined for 32%. That's 1/3 of the time a running back is the captain for the winning lineup. The captain comes from the the captain for the winning lineup comes from the winning team 71% of the time. That's kind of like saying, okay, who do you think is going to win? Now, that takes away half of the captains. You know, you can focus on the team that you think is going to win the game, and that's how I put my lineups together. And I use these numbers as a part of my overall process. My overall process involves, first, I take a stand. Who do I think is going to win the game? How are they going to win the game? What is the matchups? What matchups favors the team that I think is going to win the game? Is it the passing game versus the weak pass defense, a running game versus a weak rush defense? And then I identify the players that I think are necessary for this team to have that path to victory. And if that team is going to be winning, who are the players from the other team that are going to be utilized in, let's say, comeback mode or to make the game close. From that group of players, I identify between 4 and 6 players that I think that have a path to be the highest scoring for that particular game with that particular game script. And then once I identify, I have at least two from the team that I think is going to lose, at least two captains from that team. And then I build my lineups around those captains. I do things such as if I have a quarterback in the captain's position, I like to have at least 2 targets in the flex position to go with the quarterback. There's only one quarterback that I feel comfortable with putting in the captain's position, and I don't feel that I have to have a target, and that's Lamar Jackson. But I still, if I have him in the captain, I still like to have a target with him. Now, that's not this game, but that's some of the things that I utilize when I'm putting together my lineups. Another thing, if I have a wide receiver in the captain's position, say I have Edelman there, I at least want to have Brady in the flex. There's only one way Edelman goes off, and that's if Brady throws in the ball. I mean, there's things such as reverses and things like that, but that's not going to give you enough points in the captain's position. Now, something to that I want to mention, I mentioned it when I was reading those numbers, is the defensive special teams has been the captain in the winning lineup 6 out of the 121 slates. Now, that's not a lot. What is a lot is 3 of those 6 were the New England Patriots, so keep that in mind. So, utilizing those numbers and the process that I just told you about, and I'll get to my particular lineup. But focusing on this game, a lot of people have written the Patriots off as they struggled down the stretch. They've lost 3 of their last 5 after starting the season 11-1. The final nail in the recency bias coffin was a home loss last week to the woeful Miami Dolphins, where a win would have propelled New England into the number 2 seed and a first-round bye. Instead, they get no rest and host this wild card game. I by no means am a Patriots fan, but I am not getting caught up in the recency bias and take the stand that they are done. I'm not going for it. If they are done, we'll find out soon enough. I'm just not writing them off. I feel like the biggest difference in this game comes down to the defenses. Tennessee obviously wants to run the ball with NFL rushing champion Derrick Henry, but the strength of New England is their defense, as they have a number 1 DVP versus the running back position, number 1 DVP versus the quarterback position, and a number 1 DVP versus the wide receiver position. I think the Patriots will sell out to stop Henry, forcing Tannehill to beat them through the air, which will be a difficult task with arguably the best corner in the game, Stephon Gilmore, matching up against the rookie sensation A.J. Brown. On the other side of the ball, Tennessee comes in number 20 DVP versus the quarterback, number 17 DVP versus wide receiver, and number 20 DVP versus the running backs. So they're not an elite defense by any means. I believe Brady is going to come out throwing, and I think that what they want to do is put the Titans in comeback mode. And if they put the Titans in comeback mode, that's going to limit the game script needed for Henry to be effective. If they have to come from behind, they're not going to do it by pounding Henry. I believe the Patriots defense will force Tannehill into mistakes, and New England wins this game easily, and Brady puts the ball in the air 40 or more times, silencing his critics for at least a week. Also, and as I mentioned to you guys about the defensive special teams, 3 of those 6 belong to the Patriots, and I think that could be a situation this week. So, utilizing those numbers that I told you guys about and how I think this game is going to play out, this is a lineup that I like in particular. I'm going back to the well here, but sorry about that. I like the Patriots defense in that captain spot. That allows me to do a lot. I like Tom Brady. I'm going to give Brady arguably his best target, and I'm going to give him another target, James White. Now, I do believe that maybe early in the game, that Henry will get his, and perhaps he'll get a touchdown, punch one in from short distance. He is their best player, and they're going to try to get him going. And early on, while the game's still close, he'll be in use. So capture Henry's points early. And that leaves me 2,800. And I'm going to go down here. A.J. Brown, I feel like has a, as I mentioned, horrible matchup against Stephon Gilmore. And Corey Davis, he's come on a little bit lately. But this guy here, Tajay Sharp, he's been getting targeted a lot. If they're in comeback mode, you can see a situation where Tannehill can't get the ball to A.J. Brown or Corey Davis, and in those matchups, so Sharp may be the guy that he gets some underneath work and a lot of targets. This leaves $800 on the table, which in a showdown contest is a really good thing. The average winning lineup, I was looking at this number the other day, has left just over $1,000 on the table for the showdown contest. So this is a lineup that I like in particular, and I'm going to be using this. And what I do, I don't MME, meaning I don't mass multi-entry 150 lineups. I don't have anything against anybody that does do that. It makes sense. If I'm ever in the position to do that, I've said this over and over in my videos, if I'm ever in the position to do it, I will. But I enter some different contests. I'll throw a few in the larger GPPs, some in the smaller GPPs, some in the double ups, head-to-head, 50-50, and things like that, and play some different contests. And I'll take this lineup, and I'll put some different variations to it. I mean, you could take Sharp out here and go down. I mean, Ben Watson, I think he's kind of sneaky this week. There's not a lot lower than him that I'm interested in. Philip Dorsett, I think, he's been really quiet lately, and I wouldn't be surprised if he came on. But if you wanted to swap Henry out and fade him and go to Tannehill, that would leave you 4,000, and I think you could actually get the. You can't. Janu Smith is 4,400. That's the other guy that I was interested in. Anyhow, I would mess with this and finagle it around. Janu Smith could get some targets. Could take James White out and actually come back with a under-owned Sony Michel for 7,000. That would leave 800 on the table too. So, and I do. Like I said, different contests, and I mix and match like that. Now, another thing that I do is I always utilize an optimizer, whether I'm building lineups for the main slate, Showdown. In Showdown in particular, what I do is I take my group of players. Now, this optimizer lets me put the minimum, maximum exposures. It allows me to identify the players that I want to be in the captain's position only. In this particular game I had from Tennessee, the only two that I wanted to consider as my captains was Tannehill and Henry, and then I had 4 captains from New England. I believe it was Brady, Edelman, James White, and Sony Michel. And then I set the exposures for them. Usually they're all 15 to 20, 20, 25, and then I go down to the flex positions and I do the same thing for all the positions. And on Showdown, I don't put too many rules on there because I want a true randomization of the player pool that I have. Now, I do put the rule in there, if the quarterback is in the captain, I want 2 targets in the flex. If the wide receiver is in the captain, I want the quarterback in the flex. And I try to only use one of the 4 between the 2 defensive special teams and the 2 field goal kickers. I try to only use one, at the most 2. Kickers offer a safer floor. I generally like to go with the kicker from the team that is favored to win because they have a higher implied total of points. Just makes sense. If they're going to score more points, their kicker is going to be involved more than the team that's projected to lose. And that's just the theory that I use. And I always set it for 150 lineups. And as I mentioned, I want to see different randomizations of the players that I like. If I'm building lineups manually, I'm not going to see every randomization of it. And it's sometimes easy to get biased, and all of a sudden you got the same player in 10 of 12 lineups. So I want to look at the different randomizations, and I always set it for 150 lineups. Very rarely do I get 150 because of my minimum maximum exposures and a couple rules that I have. Um, in this game in particular, it generated 129 out of the 150 requested. And as I always do, I always share with you guys the first one that was generated and another one. So that's what I'm going to do right now. The and I also set it for one unique player. Each lineup has to have at least one unique player. So the first one was Tom Brady at captain. It had Sharp and in the flex. It had the kicker Joseph from Tennessee in the flex. It had James White in the flex, Edelman in the flex, and Ryan Tannehill in the flex. I left 200 on the table. That was the first one generated. Um, you got Brady with 2 targets with White and Edelman. I don't really like. I would like the New England kicker. And how much more is he than he? I could actually fit him in there, but this was a optimizer lineup. Now, sometimes I'll do what I just was talking about. And I was saying, well, I didn't really like him, so I'm going to pop Folk in here. And that's actually burned me a few times. Now, I've never won one of these contests, but I do have a really high cash percentage, probably 85 to 90%. I believe in my process. I know one day I'm going to take down a big one. But that's what I do, and I just look at the different randomizations, and I do finagle with those. Like I said, I would probably now this probably isn't too much of a contrarian lineup. It is missing Henry, and I do know that on the 4-game main slate from the site that I use, the projected ownership of Henry is right around 70%. So I expect that that'll carry into the showdown as well. So he's going to be highly owned. So Brady's actually the lowest owned quarterback out on the 4-game main slate. So he might be contrarian in the captain spot and the way he's been playing and recency bias, and that might allow me to get some leverage on the field. I think Brady's going to come out throwing, and just hope the weather doesn't affect it. It's showing some rain up there. I did see something that said that there's going to be a window during the game where they might just have some light showers, but it wasn't going to affect the game so much. So we definitely have to watch that. So that was one. Remember that first one had the Tennessee kicker. So, um, and I just believe if they're in comeback mode, you're not going to settle for field goals. You're going to be trying to score touchdowns if you think that New England can get a big lead on these guys. And the second one, it was pretty interesting. It had Edelman. Sorry about that. We had Edelman and the captain. It had Ben Watson in the flex. Janu Smith in the flex. Sony Michel, which was, I think he was 7,000 in the flex. It had Derrick Henry in the flex, and it had Tom Brady. And this one had 500 left on the table. And this is a pretty interesting one. You got Edelman, obviously stacked up with Brady, kind of sneaky Ben Watson, maybe Sony Michel punches a couple in, and then you got Derrick Henry and Janu Smith. So that's a pretty interesting lineup. It was generated by the optimizer using my player pool with my exposures and a couple rules. And so there you go. I want to get these videos posted tonight for Saturday. Then tomorrow I'll be posting the videos for the 2 games on Sunday. I want to thank you guys for joining me. I encourage you to please drop any opinions or comments that you may have below. Please share this video, like it, subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and hit that notification bell so you get notified when my next video post. As I mentioned in my previous videos, this channel has really exceeded my expectations. I'm sitting at 98 subscribers. I'm hoping to get over that 100 threshold. this weekend. So if you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe. It's free. I got some really good information, and you can't lose anything by giving me a chance. This, as I said, this channel's exceeded my expectations and really grown, and I want to make it more moving forward. And it's all because of you guys, and I really appreciate you joining me and following my channel. As I mentioned, I'll have a showdown video, two showdown videos tomorrow for the Sunday games, the Minnesota, New Orleans, Seattle, Philadelphia. So be looking for those tomorrow night. You can also follow me on Twitter at winningabout. Don't forget to check the injury reports. This game's injury report. This game kicks off at 8:30 tomorrow, so you can check the injury report at 7 o'clock. You always want to check that, even if there's if player doesn't have an injury designation. You always want to check that last second flu bug or something, and they're suddenly ruled out, or pull something during warm ups. So always check your injury report. You don't want a zero in any contest. Definitely don't want one in showdown. You got 6 positions. You don't want to start out with a zero. So don't forget your injury reports. Again, my name is Ty Patton. This is all about winning daily fantasy sports, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Good luck.